Yes, I know. I've missed like consecutive My Hero Academia manga chapter reviews. The last My Hero Academia manga chapter review I did was My Hero Academia manga chapter 397. We're already in like chapter 400. Hold on. We're already on chapter I'm looking at it. We're already in chapter 403. And I got to cover I got to talk about counting that the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chapters that I even had to talk about. Now, the reason why I missed review these chapters, one, I was lazy to just do these reviews for these chapters, and two, I've been busy, and obviously my working schedule, it's a lot harder to get a lot of these videos I put on the channel out. And basically, it's kind of like, okay, I gotta maybe just take time of playing PS5 and grinding for stuff that I gotta do for all my games, especially My Hero Ultra Rumble, which came out. Mind you, get the game if you have either an Xbox, PlayStation, or Nintendo Switch. Please get My Hero Ultra Rumble. It's a very great battle royale game. I am having a blast with it. And I think if you play it, you will like it too. It is a very good and fun game to play. Yes, go play My Hero Ultra Rumble. You will have a blast playing it. Anyways. That's besides the point. Just plug in that game. Right then and there. I miss a lot of chapters, but again, like I said, with my busy schedule, so I have to like basically pre-record a lot of videos. Like right now, I'm on my third video after reviewing My Hero Academia, One Piece, and then doing my Spy X Family review and everything and stuff like that. So basically, these videos are like pre-recorded and everything, so that's why you're getting these videos a lot later than usual. But I had to talk about My Hero Academia. I had to get on here talking about My Hero Academia, especially with the stuff I missed and the fact that we're getting close to the end. But this All Might versus All for One fight stuff has been absolutely insane. Absolutely insane and very heart-stringing and emotional. But let's continue on with it. Now I'm going over the unofficial translations, not the Viz translations of these things, because for some odd reason online they don't want to update it. And if you're wondering why I'm not looking from the Shonen Jump app, because I'm too lazy to just go pay basically $2 just to read the rest of the remaining chapters. But whatever. Anyways, let's start off with My Hero Academia chapter 398, titled Toshinori Yagi, Rising Origin. Now, the chapter starts off with All Might following Nana Shimura saying, please take me as your disciple in this flashback. We cut back to the present timeline where All Might's car, Hercules, fires this injection shot at All for One, and it's called Super Acid Injection Pinky. Obviously a reference to Mina Ashido's attack, her acid attacks. Now, All Might basically proclaims to All for One, saying, even though you're constantly rewinding, it continues to corrode you from the inside out. Now, again, I'll continue to go on, but there is like panels where All for One just is like looking like a damn menace, and he's just like, he's losing. He's like, All Might! And basically, All Might, as he's laughing, is like, now, who's the trash now? We cut back to the flashback where All Might is following Nana Shimura, and basically All Might's pleading with Shimura to be her disciple. And basically Nana's like, look kid, you have no chance. You don't even have a quirk, so you need to stop following me. Now, and she even goes to like, listen, go take your life, go protect your loved ones. Now, All Might basically says, I don't have any. My family was killed a long time ago. And basically Nana Shimura was like, so was mine, which we know that's a lie, but I think she's just saying that as a way to just forget just the past. She continues that saying, but I don't have time to help you seek revenge. And basically All Might basically proclaims to Nana Shimura saying like, look, I just can't take it anymore. In this world where criminals get rewarded for their actions and a victim's sorrow grows into a blind rage, it's a spiral of everlasting tragedies. And basically Nana's like, okay, so then what the hell's your point? She has a shocked expression. And basically All Might's like, I want to make the world a place to where everyone can live with a smile. And for that world, and for that, the world needs a symbol. And basically, Nana Shimura is like a symbol, and that's when obviously almost like a symbol of peace. Now obviously the background, because we've seen this scene in the anime, for example, or even in previous chapters in the manga, we've seen the scene where All Might is trying to be Nana Shimura's disciple, and we have it to where there's just a lot of freaking chaos in the background right then and there. And the flashback originally we saw, it looked like as if it was just nothing there, but no, it seems like in this era, it was just a lot of freaking bad guys. Now, All Might goes on to say, eventually they'll build new houses and things will go back to back the way they were, except they won't. Those tenants will forever live in fear. That darkness will forever lurk in their hearts whenever are never giving them peace. Now, Nana Shimura goes on to say, and that's why you're pursuing power. All Might replies with a statement saying, everyone's too busy protecting the ones they love. That's why I'm the one who has to do it. I'm quirkless, born without a role. We cut back to the present. All Might gets thrown around, and he ends up ending up on top of the same building where Deku made his proclamation to him, like, can I still be a hero without a quirk too, basically. And it's kind of like a weird full circle thing. Now, Sukauchi and the other police force are like monitoring the situation. They're like, everyone's now even closer to UA than before, but he's taking a detour and he's chasing after All Might. And again, All Might's reminiscing on the scene about Deku asking him, like, saying like, I was full of dreams and aspirations like he was, and everything. And he remembers what Stain told him and everything, and that's when All Might gets back up. And All Might sees, like, okay, he All For One got a little bit younger. And then he's wondering if All For One has noticed it. He goes on to say, I need to keep him occupied. He cannot be allowed to start thinking rationally again. To remove the pinky acid from his body, he had to constantly injure himself with his quirks so that the more damage he takes, the faster he's forced to rewind. All For One he just ends up breaking in a freaking laugh. And then basically he says, send them en masse to Hercules. And basically he goes on to say how good it feels. Now he goes on to say, do your best, guys, we can do it. Then he just makes his whole mech suit just surround him. And he's like, listen, we can win. And these other things are like, one of them is like gravity thruster, Ingenium, and then maximum output, which is a combination of Ochako, Ida, and even Kaminari's attacks. Then all of a sudden, the vestige of All Might is just feeling Deku and Shigaraki fighting, and it's like as if Deku and Shigaraki are connected, and they're feeling it, and you just have it and everything. So going on to the next chapter, which is chapter 399, titled Organic Altering Current Lab. Now, one of the new aspects too, as the fight is continuing on with All Might and All For One, we have a move called Tentacle Floppy Suction Cups, which is obviously a shoji and obviously Sue like reference to them. Now, obviously All Might, he's like, these allow me to move faster and with more liberty. I know he's tired of this one-sided fight as well. Now he also has a move to Shoto and then Tailman, which is Ojiro and obviously Todoroki. And now All Might goes to say, now he's on the hunt. He goes on to continue thinking, if his body rewinds faster, the more damage he takes, then I should use that quirk. But there is a problem with my energy source. Using the regular way wouldn't be enough. So I'm counting on you, Anime, which is a Tokoyami reference as well. And then all of a sudden, All For One appears out of nowhere, and he's like, you laughed like that and just immediately ran away. And basically, All For One, who looks a lot younger, he's just like, I know what you're planning. I'll turn that grin of yours into pure agony without going all out. I'll kill you with minimum effort. And that's when he uses his rivets. That's when All For One uses his rivet stab technique to just try to cut up All Might. All Might flies up, and then you get this very horrifying, like, weird quirk spawning from All for One that just looks so monstrosity and gross. And I'm just like, what the hell? At this point, when I was reading this chapter for the first time, I was just like, is this My Hero Academia? What's right? Am I watching right here? Or reading right here? Now, All for One, he's laughing. He's like, what do you mean these are nothing? And then All Might's just getting chased by these weird monster-looking things that are freaking just coming from All for One's arms. And basically, All for One is like, what happened to your smile? You're just a gutless old fart. And basically, All Might is like using those children's quirks to keep up your opinion. Or, no, this is All for One saying this. My bad. All for One's like, using these child's quirks to try to make you feel important. Oh, come on, All Might. This shows you how weak you are. That you're using child tricks to try to defeat me, basically. And he goes on to say, listen, All Might, the fight is being recorded. Everyone's watching. They're about to see their beloved symbol of peace fall from grace. Next thing you know, you have it to where All for One just comes out of nowhere through the building, and he slams freaking All Might to the ground and everything. And basically, All Might counters this by saying, oh, buddy, you still don't get it at all. People are flickering beams. Even if my light goes out, someone else will take it and keep shining. They will illuminate the dark. And now we cut back to the fight where obviously Ayama is having a fight with the one assassin, Kuneda, and basically you have it to where we see it to where Kuneda's ability is kind of like absorbing the nutrients out of people, and we have it to where Fat Gum is it's happening with Fat Gum, and these flowers are like being absorbed by him. And basically, and Fat Gum's like, listen, I leave it to you, Ayama, and everything. Now, Kuneda is like, I don't think I've seen a flower this big. A single flower blooms, then its pollen starts a chain reaction. Their roots are like the extension of my own body. You don't have anywhere left to run, you filthy traitor. Without this belt, your navel laser leaks with no rhyme or reason. You were weak from the start. While I keep getting stronger, my flowers grow. Now, he continues to say, you've been controlled like a puppet because of a useless quirk. If you were to choose a word that defines your whole life, it would be pitiful. And Ayama's remembering, obviously, the flashbacks of his parents and everything. And basically, Ayama's like, that's exactly why I said mercy earlier. You calling me a traitor reminded me of his sins and made me even more determined to cling to the lights. I want to smile brighter than before. And he unleashes his attack at Kuneda. All of a sudden, you have it to where Invisible Girl, Hagakure, shows up out of nowhere. And at this moment, Kuneda's kind of boasting like, oh, how will you cling to something you can't see? You'll die. And basically, that's when we come back to All Might, where he says, they will illuminate the dark and keep shining, allowing me to light the fire again. And basically, you have it to where what is it? Hagakure is saying, I've been waiting for you, hero. And that's when Hagakure uses the light from the naval laser that Ayama shot off, and uses a move called Refracted Naval Laser and reflects it right back at Kuneda, basically taking him down. All Might goes on to say, I don't plan on losing, All for One. You better remember me. Remember this name. Can't stop twinkling. And at this point, All Might fires off an attack that is a reference to Ayama. As that chapter ends, we cut back to the next chapter, chapter 400. Now, chapter 400 is titled To the Limit. Now, Ayama is like Hagakure, and oh boy. We get a whole scene of a very in the nude Hagakure, basically, let's just say, on top of Kuneda. Now, not in the way you think it is, but she's basically visible and in the nude. All I'm gonna say is, all right. There's nothing else to say. All I will say is Hagakure is one of the thickest MHA girls in the series. I will say I think it's a bit much to see a visibly animated or drawn up panel of Hagakure basically naked. I do think it's a bit much. That's just it. Again, why? I'll just say this. I don't know. I understand why she doesn't wear clothes, because she's invisible and give her away. But also too, it's like, why not just like have it to where she has fabric that when she goes invisible, her clothes goes invisible. Like freaking Invisible Woman from Fantastic Four, like her Fantastic Four suit. At first, like for example, when you watch the very first movie, like the one with Jessica Alba as Sue Storm, you get the one scene where she was like, she turned invisible and her clothes, even though she was invisible, her clothes were still were still visible, right? And then she slowly but surely takes it off. But as she's walking through the public, trying to get back up to the tower, she's butt naked when her powers end up, are deactivating and everything. So I don't know. Maybe it's kind of the similar thing with Hagakure, to where she doesn't know how to turn on and off her quirk to turn invisible and not. But also too, I hope maybe after, when the story is completed, she goes to maybe Hatsume, and Hatsume makes her like a support costume where it's like, I figure out something to make you, to make your clothes invisible so you're not always naked, basically, which, all right, that's kind of interesting. So yeah. Now the thing is, Hagakure sees that she's pretty visible, and then she's basically like, stop staring at me, Ayama. And he's like, and Ayama's like, oh, sorry. So that's kind of the thing right then and there. And basically Hagakure is like, no, being invisible was like my thing. Now Ayama's like, sorry, I'm so exhausted, I don't know how I should react. Now Hagakure is shocked, because she's like, this never happened before, no matter what I did. Wait, it did actually. And she remembers when she first found out about Ayama being the traitor, basically. Now she goes on to say, being in danger made me overdo myself, and now my invisibility is glitching. Now I think this potentially could be an activation of her quirk, to where, all right, I'm not saying maybe this could be a quirk awakening, but it potentially could. Maybe it's just showing how her powers are now developing a lot more, to where now she can probably be visible now, and people can see what she looks like now, instead of just being straight up invisible. So maybe the next goal of her training is she can teach herself to turn visible, and have people see her. And then I guess the next step would be like, okay, if I can turn myself visible, how can I turn myself invisible again? And go back and forth and everything, which I think could be a pretty cool type of thing, for Hagakure. And again, if the story was fleshed out and this wasn't the final arc, then maybe I feel like they could do like an arc where they focus on Hagakure trying to figure out her powers and everything, and trying to be visible and not visible. So that's kind of the thing. Now she goes and say, Ayama, your quirk is getting stronger, isn't it? Ayama goes and say, for now, we should focus on burning these plants and saving everyone. Like Fat Gum said, they may continue to grow regardless of the user being in consciousness. He goes and say, Hagakure, I would appreciate it if you could help refract the light and burn the roots spreading inside them. And then she's like, but what about your belt? And basically, Ayama's like, today is my last day as a UA student. I'm ready to go to any length. So I don't know if that's a reference that he might try to sacrifice in life, but I don't know. Anyways, we cut back to the battle between All For One and All Might, and the engine shooting the Can't Stop Twinkling attack is saying it's overheating. Now, All Might is basically like, I don't give a shit. Keep shooting. Now, this is also kind of a thing that was a shout out to Star and Stripe battle against Shigaraki when the fire jets kept shooting the lasers at Shigaraki, basically, and that's what All Might brings attention to. So yes. Now that's when he also uses move that's in a respect or tribute to Jiro in terms of calling the move sound waves, earphone jack, and basically he's like, I'm not gonna let you escape these waves. I'll bang your way into the very end. When the laser was shot, I had to sacrifice Tentacle and flew the thrusters. The armor invisible girl's optical resin makes me a bit more resistant to heat. I got hit by your punch, so this could happen. I shielded myself with Tailman. We also find out that his legs are basically broken and they're in tatters, but the thing is, All Might's still capable, and the thing is, luckily, All Might's like, thank goodness he didn't go for my head. All of a sudden, this attack just fires to nowhere and goes at All Might's head, and he gets pretty much bruised up pretty badly. Now, he uses his Momo attack called Armor Morphing Creati, which is a reference to Momo. And the thing is, he also then uses these Binding Spears Grape Juice, which was a reference to frick, man. I forgot his name. Jeez Louise. My goodness. What is his? Holy crap. How am I forgetting his name? My goodness, man. I'm so bad at this. I'm so bad at this. Let me find it. Mineta. Reference to Mineta. And the thing is, All Might, he's saying, so he's just hoping that All Might or All for One just disappears for good. And he's like, before the joy stops numbing the pain. Now, on this TV, people are watching the fight, and this one person's like, wait, who is the skinny guy? And this old lady's like, who knows? I'm not too versed in this hero stuff. And the thing is, the kid's wondering, like, what's going to happen if he loses? Or if he wins. And basically, the adult's like, well, they're fighting in a faraway country, so it won't affect us no matter the results won't matter, which is wrong because it will affect the entire world as we know it. We see how this kid, he's having hope and belief that All Might can persevere. So that's kind of the thing right then and there. Now, All for One, he jumps out from the laser, destroying it basically. And the thing is, All for One looks like a damn child already. And All for One is like, I told you, tools cannot surpass their limits. And the thing is, his body starts shining. Now, All for One goes on to say, aren't you supposed to be smiling, dear friend? And next thing you know, for some reason, it looks like All for One's going to do this move, but he just can't move. And he's like, wait, I can't move. And basically, you have it to where Hero Killer Stain comes out of nowhere and is like, we all bleed the same red blood. And basically, because he uses his blood curdle quirk, he's basically telling All Might, finish him off, basically. And that's where the chapter ends. So that's when we get to chapter 401. Now I'm going to the Viz translations. And the chapter is called The Lunatic. Now, All for One, obviously his body can't move because of the blood curdle quirk that Stain enacted. And Stain literally riding, I guess, a glider, which I guess you would say this is an homage to Green Goblin from Spider-Man. He's riding this freaking glider, coming down looking like he's going to do damage or cut freaking All for One's probably head off right then and there. So yes. Now, obviously, you get a few panels to where, Stain found All for One's blood, and he was hoping that it was All for One's blood, and he basically took a gamble that it was. And basically, because his nose is so mutilated, he smelled it, and he basically could tell, okay, this ain't All Might's blood. So you have it to where basically All Might and Stain, they're trying All for One to finish him off, and Stain is like, why would I dare to leave the shadows and expose myself? A hero can only claim that title as long as the soul burns fiercely in the service of others. Say a god has fallen prostrate upon the earth, and has his divine soul turned feeble and mortal. Certainly, he has the right to cling desperately to life. And basically, that's when All Might's like, I get it, Stain. All Might's coming in to charge for a punch, and then you have it to where Stain is coming to, looks like he's gonna cut off All For One's head. But all of a sudden, you have it to where All For One does his attack called Forcible Quirk Activation, Bloodlet, and he just blows up into blood, only to come back and he's like, a Gakuro. I had a feeling you would make a move on your own, so I was sure to hold this helpful quirk in reserve. Ever since that day at Tartaros, when you were the only one to spurn my takeover and flee on your own terms. And basically, Stain is like, blood is blood, even outside the blood. And basically, what happens is, Stain gets caught through All For One's attack, and All For One's like, fool. And he goes on to say, antigen swap. Of course, I can overwrite my own blood type. One of the secrets of my long rule was never leaving a trace of myself behind. So basically, we have it to where All For One has this quirk to where he can even change his blood type, which is absolutely crazy. This guy is pulling up these quirks that I'm just like, dude, how's this guy gonna die? He can switch his blood types. Wait, absolutely crazy. Stain takes some very bad damage and everything. All Might tries to go in to help Stain, but the thing is, All For One takes Stain away and just crashes him through buildings, and All Might's worried about it. Stain is basically down for the count, and basically All For One is like, I'm gonna take that blood curdle quirk of yours now. Now, he goes on to say, thinking back, you made valuable contributions to the growth of the League and extension, Tomura, but I'm afraid your role ended there, killer. All For One starts charging, or All Might starts charging at All For One to try to save Stain, and basically Stain is like, didn't end. All part of the process, Demon Lord. And then basically he lifts his hands up and he's like, live on and triumph. Everything, my all. And basically you have it to where All For One takes Stain's blood curdling quirk, which we see in the most recent chapter, and basically he forces All Might back with his radio wave. And basically the thing is, Hercules gets involved, and it's one final shield, and basically Hercules is like, you must live on, Toshinori, you can do it. You have this scene to where Nana Shimura, was trying to like wake All Might up, saying like, listen, this tale is still being written, you can do this, Toshinori. He's seeing Nana, and basically he's like, no, I'm just hallucinating. And basically you have it to where where Night Eye is like, your support items, your legs, you've all been given, all rendered useless. You can fight no longer. But All Might is still getting back up, and All Might is still not dead. And even though he's crawling, bleeding profusely, he's telling All For One, do your worst. Now All For One now sees the fight between Deku, he's seeing the falling UA structure, which goes to show that, okay, he's getting close to UA, he's getting close to the battle between Deku and Shigaraki, so he can use his glute work. Chapter 402. Finally, jeez Louise, because this has been a long-ass chapter review. So, the thing is, we cut up the chapter just as a thing where people are going over like Shoto winning, Dabi being neutralized, Toga being neutralized, and we're seeing basically Ochako and Shoto down for the count. So, and then we see obviously the Twice clones being disappearing. This chapter is 402, titled Tearful Days. Momo, who was fighting off some of the Twice clones, and she's just looked like she's all decked out. She's got like freaking missile launchers, machine guns, and her staff and everything. And she's like, well, it seems like it's the last of them. The Twices are vanishing. Hatsume ends up saying the excess weight is gone. The school can now remain airborne. Now the police basically say, okay, All For One's in the area near Shigaraki, so he can use his gloop warp to do that. Now at this point, Deku is fighting Shigaraki, obviously, and obviously that's the fight's going on now. All For One is like, the moment I injected myself with the rewind shot, this exact spot became my destination. By granting Tomura the duplicate of my copy of my quirk, he'll become the version of me that surpasses even myself. Now All For One, or All Might is like, that's all you got, All For One? Now what happens is All For One is not paying attention, and he's like, here's how I'll smoothly perform the transfer without the risk of meddling by Midoriya and One For All. And now he reaches out to now he uses the gloop work to go out to Shigaraki, but Shigaraki, he ends up actually swallowing back in the gloop warp, and he's just like, don't you dare butt in, master. And basically All For One is like, my other consciousness must have been swallowed up. Well, no matter, I'll have to do the legwork myself. So he looks at All For One doing this with this very sinister smile. Now what happens is you have it to where the one student that was recording everything that's happening is recording All For One literally grabbing All For One and dragging him. And All For One is like, yes, keep this pathetic look on your face and take responsibility for the dreams you filled the youngster silly little heads with. Better go save All Might, Izuku Midoriya. This is perfect. Actually, don't. Now, what happens is, my bad. We cut back to the fight between Shigaraki and Deku, and they're freaking clashing each other. And basically, Shigaraki's like, hey, Izuku Midoriya, I think you should go save your master, All Might. This is perfect. Actually, go on, I don't mind. In the meantime, I'll head back to those jerks who hurt me over and over and break every last one of them. So this starts to get Deku very emotional and upset and everything. And basically, all Deku's remembering everything about, him telling All Might, listen, I'm gonna be by your side to change fate and everything. And Deku's like, I thought I put my tearful days behind me, but now I'm fighting to hold back my tears once again. And, again, he's remembering this, and it looks like we get these paneling like the vestige of All Might is disappearing. And it goes on to say, the One For All vestige within Izuku Midoriya signal its departure slightly in advance. And basically, Deku is calling out to All Might, and he's remembering everything that they've been through together. And Deku goes and say, you can. Someone who can never let his dream. Also, I can't abandon my dream. This is All Might talking. My dream is to be the symbol of peace. And it looks like All Might is making this explosion to finish off All For One. And basically, Nanashimura is like, take care of him for me, Sorahiko. And we get the flashback to where you have it to where Nanashimura was fighting All For One, and he pushed All Might away, and obviously you had to where Gran Torino took All Might away, so Nanashimura could sacrifice her life to have All Might live on, and he was pleased. And again, this freaking scene, absolutely crazy for this one panel, because it looked like All For One was using like these crazy like quirks against Nanashimura. Now, All For One is like, why am I remembering this fight? The last of Nanashimura's final moments. And basically, he's like, that fool of a woman put her stupid ideals first without the power to back them up. And she then died such a pathetic death. And you get it to where, like, how you had it to where you see how Nanashimura ended up dying, basically being choked out. And basically, Nanashimura said, All For One, you will fall to All Might without a doubt, because Toshinori is even more unhinged than you are. And basically, this big explosion happens, and basically All Might says, after this death, maybe you'll turn into a little kindergartner again. Chapter 403, the final chapter that finally I can just talk about before I end this freaking video off and I can stop recording. My god. We get a beautiful cover page image of Deku. Nana Shimura and All Might, who the armor is actually black, which looked pretty cool. And it's kind of like the different passing torches, like from Nana Shimura to All Might to Deku, which is pretty dope. We cut back to a flashback of All Might as a young kid, basically reading this book to his mom. And let me just say this. All Might's mother. Oh my goodness. His mother. All Might's mom. Oh my god, it's all snap. Where's All Might's mom? I'm sorry. All Might's mom? I see where he gets the looks. He gets the looks from his mother, clearly. His mother is a whole ass snack. Oh, we already know, once the anime version comes, she's getting Rule 34'd. My goodness. His mom is a snack. Anyways, All Might goes on to say, thinking back, mine was the path anyone might have trod. My early memories are almost too tender and mild to be called a proper origin. And you kind of see how, in a way, why All Might obviously viewed himself like, how he's viewed Deku as himself in a way. And basically it's a coincidence of the fact that as a kid he was reading a book about a hero and his mom's right then and there, honest in a kind of a type of way in parallel to Deku and his mom, how his mom was always there to see him cheer him on to be a hero. Now you're seeing it here with All Might's mother, and it just makes it show like these two characters, Deku and All Might, they're more alike than we think they are. Like, they both had caring mothers that clearly wanted them to be heroes, probably. We don't know if All Might's mother wanted him to be a hero, but that's kind of the thing. Now, he continues on to go to say, as for what I've done, I just happened to glance back at my path, and what I saw seemed so very significant. Title chapter for chapter 403 is titled The End of an Era, and now that's where we stop with that title, but the chapter picks up by saying, which is why, as All Might ends off his monologue. Now, All For One goes on to say, how very hero-like of you. Now, the thing is, All For One ends up getting impaled through his arms, and that ends up failing. Now, All For One's like, you hope to choose how you leave this world. But no, because finally, that every last trick in your book, and as is, he licks All Might's blood to use the blood curls effect so All Might can't move. And basically, All For One's like, a cornered hero is terrifying indeed. A lesson courtesy of you. No, you won't be achieving anything here. And All For One gives this creepy ass looking face to where he looks like the damn Joker. I'm telling you, man, All For One is a sinister MFing villain, and he has completely lost it, man. He has gone berserk. And if this guy was acting this insane at a young age as he was coming up, my goodness, this guy was a problem and a threat. He goes on to say, as he's giving this creepy ass smile, there, that's the face I've been waiting for. You're Lois, and All Might is just absolutely shocked and stunned by this. Now we cut back to Gentle Criminal. Gentle Criminal is trying to hold back Yue, and obviously he wants to help Deku out against Shigaraki. But obviously he has to put more focus on Yue eventually. So that's kind of the thing. Now, All For One goes and say, Yue distracted me and threw off my aim. No matter, be crushed by your own righteousness, Tobita. Now, you have it to where the jet lasers that help Star and Stripe, they show up in nowhere, but they end up freaking getting just absolutely freaking done. Like, All For One just like, boom! You'd have it to where one of these freaking jets that help Star and Stripe just gets absolutely destroyed in one hit. Which is shows you like, oh shit. Shigaraki had problems dealing with these ones. Now, All Might's like, well, those fighter jets are the same ones that help Star and Stripe take down Tomura, but they won't. But Star is not here to save you. Now we have it to where Deku and Shigaraki are still clashing. Deku, within the corner of his eye, is looking at All Might being carried by All For One. and basically the entire world is watching this and everything, and people are like wondering if All Might is going to bite the dust. And this is being televised, remember? So you get a lot of flashes to a lot of people watching this, and they're just like, All Might saved me. You see, crap, I'm trying to remember her name. David Shield's daughter, Melissa Shield. You see Melissa Shield crying, saying Uncle Might, and everything. You see it to where Gran Torino is watching this from his hospital bed, saying Toshinori. And basically, All for One is like, here, this marks the end of an era. And basically, everybody's like, no, please don't. And it looks like, you know, All for One's gonna finish off All Might for sure. Maybe probably like ripping him in half or something like that. And basically you have it to where Sukauchi, he's pleading like, someone please do something, please save him. This big explosion comes out of nowhere. And then we see the titled chapter not 403, titled The End of an Era and Beginning and beginning the, well, I would guess, the new era. And as this happens, the last few pages of the chapter, the person that stands right back up is none other than Katsuki Bakugo, still holding the All Might card in his hand. Right then and there, him and Deku lock eyes, and that's basically how the chapter ends off. So my only best guess is maybe Bakugo comes in some way to help All Might get out of this predicament, and maybe they save All Might, and maybe we don't get the All Might death that is foreshadowing. But yeah, but man, no break. So chapter 404 should be happening. Horikoshi throughout this entire All for One versus All Might battle part 2 in this story, he's been knocking out of the park. This fight has been absolutely crazy. I cannot wait to see this fight animated. I'll say this, some of the imagery in these chapters, it's definitely gonna get freaking it probably will get censored. If they actually keep the shit from the manga from the manga into the anime, I'll be shocked. But I feel like this stuff, some of this stuff in this fight between All for One and All Might, it's gonna clearly it's gonna be censored, no doubt. The craziness of all the blood loss and damage All Might's taken, that shit's gonna be toned down like crazy. It's gonna be toned down like crazy. Now, if My Hero Academia was like a rated R anime, they'd be showing everything you're seeing in the manga the last few chapters like crazy. But I would not be shocked that Studio Bones would tone it down and everything. But who knows? But really solid last few episodes of All Might of these chapters. I apologize for not getting these chapters out. I don't know if we're gonna get the death of All Might, but Bakugo's back up. Don't know how much left he has in the tank, but hey, we'll see what's gonna happen in chapter 404. Hopefully next week I'll be back talking My Hero Academia on time and things like that. But anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. If you guys enjoyed this very long manga chapter review for My Hero Academia, please hit the like button. Please put in the comment section your thoughts, as well as the subscribe button if you want to get more My Hero Academia content, whether it's manga or anime or any anime content I upload to the channel. Till then, guys, stay safe out there and have a great rest of your day or night, whenever you check out this video. Peace.